Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Mecho Tales. I hope none of you have color blindness, because this would make the title screen almost impossible to make out. A lot of the art in this game has this problem. It's so overly detailed with so many overly detailed backgrounds that it's hard to tell anything apart, but nevertheless, here it is. It's also a very down-to-earth menu, not that much to see in it. This is from Arcade Distillery, the people who made Plague Road, and also Luke Bernard. I believe Luke Bernard... I don't know what the deal is. I think Luke Bernard is like the main head honcho who claims he made most of the games, but he also made them under Arcade Distillery with a bunch of people. I don't know. I haven't really had a look. But anyway, options menu, sound effects and music. That's all you get. Credits, licenses, about the game, which tells you like the version number. Now, I need to actually note something here. The version that I'm currently recording with does not have a day one patch that was promised to fix some of the bugs. So, some of the bugs that I talk about in this video may be fixed, because seriously, there is a lot of them. I don't know if they are bugs or just general gameplay niggles, but we will get into all of them as we hop into the game itself. I'm almost at the end, I believe. I checked out the trophy list for this game, and the trophy list for this game is kind of ridiculous. There is... like, hang on. We'll go back out here again. These are all the trophies I have right now. I have 7 out of 12 trophies, and this is an hour of gameplay. It says 3 hours and 4 hours ago, just because that was when I was actually playing it. So, yeah, it's, it looks like to be a very short game, especially since there's only one more boss trophy, and then there's a trophy for beating the main campaign. So I assume they've only got, like, 4 levels left to go. So... the game's laid out very simply. The levels are all played in a straight line. You've got level 5-1, which is a bit of a platforming challenge, or just X1, which is a bit of a platforming challenge. Then you've got level X2, which is a shorter gauntlet-style level against a bunch of dudes, and then a boss fight. And that seems to be how it's been playing throughout the entire game. So, yeah, a bit odd. The game takes place in a weird sort of half structure. Like you saw there how I swapped to a different character as I went back to level 4-2. The game just kind of drops that on you from out of nowhere, trying to add story to this, because there is like 2 sentences worth of story dialogue or just something like that in the very beginning of the game. Then you get no more until the halfway point, or at least like level 5-1. I don't know. There's not that much else to do out here except for pressing square, which will take you to Patchy's shop, and Patchy will sell you different modules, which basically means he's selling you different guns. But I can't afford any of these right now, so we will back out. And we will go hop into level 6-1. My headphones have come a little bit off there, so I just need to put them back together so that they don't blast music into my poor microphone. And here we are. This actually looks like a relatively difficult level, but we'll be fine. So, this game is very simple. You have the little drone on my left right now, but he changes position depending on how you're moving. So, I currently have him on the right side, and I'm currently having him on the default gun. You can swap guns by pressing the L button, but you only start out with the one, and it takes a fairly long amount of time to get your... get the cogs you need in order to afford another gun. Oops. I'm not going to change my guns right now, because the default gun is actually the best gun you get, except for maybe like the missile launcher that you can buy for like 600. That is pretty much the only other gun that's worth buying that I have at the moment, because the other ones are actually just kind of useless. Like, I have this one here, which is a little bit of a shock thingy, which spreads into multiple bullets. However, it does absolutely no damage. So there's... right, those are spikes. Fucking spikes. And I'm back here. Right. Of course I am. This is the missile launcher. You may have noticed that when my drone got pushed back into the wall, it wasn't able to fire. That happens a lot. So you've got a bunch of different weapons, a bunch of different enemies to fight. All the different enemies have different attack patterns, obviously. And you just need to get to the end of the stage. It is really that simple. You have a couple of other things you need to do, of course, like collect cogs, which will provide you with the... fuck's sake. You have to collect cogs, which will provide you with the money you need to upgrade your guns. Jesus wept. This is a stupid stage. Oh, for fuck's sake, we're back here. You need to collect the cogs, which will provide you with the money you need to continue on and buy new weapons. But the thing is, as I said, most of the weapons are actually pretty shit. Like, for example, I already talked about the lightning, so let's talk about the little orbs. These little orbs do more damage, but they move a lot slower, to the point where they won't actually get across the entire screen if you are moving to the right. So their range is questionable, and again, you're better suited by the original guns at full-on range at that point. You have the bloody Medusa head sine wave cannon, which is slightly more annoying because it does do around the same amount of damage that your regular gun would do, but if you couldn't tell, it's very hard to aim with, so you need to be very careful about that. And you've got the rockets, which arc up in an overhead pattern, so you end up hitting the roof sometimes. But they're actually the most useful weapon I've unlocked so far. I actually unlocked the spark gun. No, I don't think it was the spark gun. I unlocked, like, seriously, all of these weapons here are... Yeah, I unlocked this gun first, the bloody Medusa head sine wave gun. And it is, like, the most useless thing ever. So there is really no point in using it. Get out of my way. That is the first gun I bought, and I was stuck with it because it cost a lot of money. Here I am thinking, oh, the most useful weapon will cost more money, so I should get the most expensive weapon I can get. Not the truth. Seriously, there is really no point in swapping off your regular gun, except if you want to hit stuff over an arc like this, or if you can hit them over an arc like this. And even as you saw there, bloody drone hit in the wall, so it wasn't able to fire half as well as it could anyway. Very annoying stuff. The game also has a decided lack of checkpoints and surprisingly hard platforming sections. This is actually a thing in level 1-1 where you have to do the entire level in one go, and there are some really annoying platforming bits, including some really slippery platforms for some reason, and some really annoying gauntlet hopping you have to do, because, of course, if you go back to the beginning, you just have to defeat all the enemies again. And the thing about the enemies is that, remember what I said about all the other guns? Well, since all the other guns are still useless, this gun here has the longest range out of all the guns you have from the very beginning. And you need to use this gun a lot, because the best way to handle enemies in this game... I'm not going to bother going over there, that's just a cog that gets me some extra money. The best way to handle 90% of enemies in this game: run away from them, shoot them from a distance, and then move on. That is legit the best way to handle every enemy in this game that isn't a boss fight. Yes, I am serious. Like, seriously. These guys can't even hit me, so I might as well just stay at a distance and shoot them. You have no real reason to go in and risk your own skin if you can just pull back, get the longest range gun that you've got out, and just fire away until they're all dead. And the best gun for doing that is, of course, the default gun. So, you just end up doing the most boring thing imaginable in a platformer shooter, which is just hold back, wait for your bullets to destroy the enemy, then move on. That is literally every combat encounter in this game, minus the ones where they force you to do some really annoying shit. See, it literally is just easier just to do that. There is no reason to do anything else whatsoever. See, this guy, I'm not even in range of this guy. So yeah, well, he wasn't in range of me, I should say. And that was it. Okay, apparently axes can hit you through the floor now. Who would have thought? And honestly, there really isn't that much point in sticking around and beating those guys up anyway, just because they don't drop enough cogs to make it worth it. The only reasonable way to get cogs in this game is to get them from drops in the world. Like, see that big yellow one over there? There are preset ones that come from the world. There is also a random chance that you will get bigger cogs, but it just doesn't happen very often. Anyway. So yeah. the game itself just kind of turns into a little bit of a boring mess, considering that you have to put so much effort into just keeping yourself alive because of the game's decided lack of checkpoints where it really matters. You just end up in this really annoying position because you have to wait for... You just have to stand back and wait for the enemy to die because that's literally the best way to go about it. You do have knockback, and your jumps are kind of annoyingly short at times, to the point where you really do have to get the, you know, the very edge of your jump radius at more than one point. And there are a couple of annoying sections that will just outright kill you if you make a mistake, including a section that will kill you even if you didn't. The game's springboards, which are like little mushrooms, for some reason, like every 5th or 6th time I bounced on one, it would send me higher than normal for no reason. And that's if I didn't just fall off the thing. The springboards in this game are very buggy. So you just end up in this weird position where the game is just killing you over and over again, and you just get really, really frustrated because it's either going to be dealing with some stupid platforming challenge that gets really on your nerves, or it's just a really annoying fight that you ended up losing all your health on. And it just goes on and on and on. And as you can see, like, that was weird. Like, I stood out of screen. Like, see, I'm trying to fire with my thing, but it won't fire because it's out of bloody visual range. That's annoying as hell. But even if the what's the word? Even if the game wasn't frustrating because of some weird bugs and stuff like that, I just find it relatively boring. For fuck's sake, what do you want me to do, game? Right, I guess I'm gonna have to resort to using these, aren't I? Just wait for him to die, because there's no reason to get in there. The enemies don't put out... You can't avoid their bullets if you get too close to them, more or less. So you just have to shoot them from afar and wait. That is really all you can do. And even if the game didn't have all these little weird problems with, like, the game's platforming not working as intended, or just weird other little glitches that show up, like I've got one where I ended up trapped inside a wall for a few minutes. That was a little bit weird. But even if with that, even if all the bugs were fixed, all the bugs and the little weird gameplay difficulties they just seemingly out of nowhere, even if those were fixed, I don't enjoy the game enough to say I would recommend it. It's kind of boring, actually. Your movement and your jumping is floaty and not really unsatisfying. Your shooting is okay, but again, with your drone just follows you around, so instead of being like you specifically. So you end up in these weird positions where you can't fire shots properly, and the whole positioning is a bit weird too. I want to try and leave this, is that who I think it is? No, that's not. There is this one weird, little, Lancer enemy that if you just constantly move into him, he can't hit you. He's no challenge whatsoever. It's very odd. But, yeah, the shooting is not as satisfying as I would hope, and considering it's a drone that's following you around, it's actually kind of hard to control. Because, yeah, you do end up in these weird positions where you can't get him to shoot because he's halfway through a wall and you need to reorient yourself, and it just gets annoying as hell after a while. If it was you shooting, I might be a little bit more impassioned about it, but yeah. I find it boring. I really do find it to be one of the more boring shooters of this kind. There's no reason to get in there and fight off dudes. There's no melee attack, so, you know, well, I mean, there is a bloody flamethrower you can get, but that's actually really bloody expensive, so I don't really see anyone getting that before they just get bored. And it's kind of like, I hate to bring up Devil May Cry in response to a game like this, but Devil May Cry gave you reasons to get in and risk everything. Like, it gave you like a little style meter, and it made some of your attacks more powerful up close, and stuff like that. It gave you reason to move in and out effectively, and what this game does here, all its combat mechanics encourage you to do is to stay back and just fight them off, and then just move up later. That's all this game encourages you to do combat-wise. And it's just really not that enjoyable, even without all the weird little bugs and polishing things and difficulty spikes and all of just these weird little things. Some of these things feel like they would have been seen immediately in a debugging run, so I don't know how they managed to get through to the full game. As I said, there is a day one patch coming, but I do not know when that patch is indeed coming, so I'm afraid I can't really fill you in that respect. Bloody kid yelling halfway across the bloody town and I can still hear them. Now, this is annoying. How am I going to handle this? Come on, let me up! Fuck's sake! I got nothing that can hit them at this point. There, no. Really? Fuck's sake. That's gonna throw me back a fair distance, by the way. Yep, I'm all the way back here. All the things I dropped, all of that crap, it's all just not there. Yeah, see what I mean? When I say there's no reason to get close, you just end up in these horrible situations where there is literally no point in doing anything other than standing back and trying to finish them off. Also, it's actually really hard to swap between modules to get the one you want because they're all on the one button. You have to cycle through them, which is fun. He said extremely sarcastically. Game's technical performance seems fine. I mean, there is that one little weird bug I have where I got stuck in the wall, but I mean, like, performance-wise, it's fine. The art style is probably the best part about the game, just because of how weird and otherworldly it looks. Like, I know that's the point and everything. That's kind of the point of these games just in general. Also, very hard to aim with, like, single-shot cannons like this. Very hard to aim indeed, at least with the other ones. You have a little bit of justification for them being hard to aim, but I would love a fucking laser sight on this bloody simple-ass gun here. The problem with the game's art style, though, is that everything blends into the fucking background. Like, there are some... Like, here it's not too bad, but in some levels, the game just becomes overwhelming with color and shapes, and it becomes really hard to see anything. It seriously is kind of retarded at times, just because you end up having to really stare and squint at the screen. This game is blinding on a fucking OLED Vita. So I was just playing it at the lowest possible... I suggest playing it at the lowest possible brightness. Oh, God. See, it hopped all the way over there until I started to come down, and then it decided to want to come and join us. Fucking bullshit. Goddamn stupid AI. Could you tell that the game is frustrating me? Because it really is. I actually made a game fairly similar to this one back when I was in high school. One of my original... Well, one of the things that made me decide to get into game development was me figuring out Game Maker. And when I figured out Game Maker, I made a little 2D platformer shooter that was not entirely unlike this one. Obviously, it looked really, really horrible, but I mean, this is seriously surprisingly close to what I originally came up with. It's just... It just reminds me of that game, because that game was a piece of shit too, so... You know, yeah. Yeah, I don't have to deal with that one. Drone, get out of the fucking wall, Jesus. Screw it. Shock bolts. Do it the easy, boring, and safe way. Come over and get that health while I'm at it too. It takes way more shots with the shotgun than any other gun in the game to kill anything. And this is after like an hour and a half of game time, I believe. There's no solid time counter in this game as far as I'm aware, so yeah. If I die again, I'm just gonna quit to the main menu and I'll just quit to the, well, not to the main menu, I'll quit to the brain. I'll quit to the level select and I'll go play a boss fight. Not what ladder to go up this time. What is with those arcs? I don't know what was different between me aiming at those arcs, and of course it can hit me while I'm on the ledge, so... Don't get on the fucking... Oh. I actually managed to get stuck at one point because I managed to get hit and fall back down the ladder at exactly the same time in the first level, and it made me have to restart the entire level, so yeah. Right, I'm going back to the main menu and go into a fucking boss fight because I do not want to play this anymore. This is legitimately really frustrating. Also, this menu... I don't know why he decided to design it like this, but have you ever played a start menu? Have you ever played a game with a pause menu? That when you hit the start button to pause it, if you hit start in an attempt to unpause it, it doesn't actually unpause, but selects what you're currently selected in the pause menu. That's dumb. I don't know why that's a thing. That's not how a pause menu works. You press a button to pause, and you press the same button to unpause. I've never seen a game do it like that. But anyway... 5-2, which is a boss level. Hated that fucking water. So yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna stay back and let my gun do the work, because there is seriously no better way to do this. Move forward so I can see what I'm shooting at, and then move back. These bugs are annoying, because if you let it get too close, it'll start dropping bombs. Thankfully, I'm relatively good at not letting it get close, so... See, there's the bombs. Missiles. I swear that the guy who does the art for these games should do it like a fucking comic book or something, like a graphic novel. Be a great use of his art. But yeah, that was the gauntlet. Here's the boss. No, seriously, that was the entire thing. They make you face a little gauntlet like that every single time. But anyway, here's what the bosses look like. They're really simple, really easy, predictable patterns affairs that are really just no challenge whatsoever. I've died to one boss because his bombs were annoyingly random, so it's impossible to tell when you're meant to jump to get out of the way of his shit. That's literally the only boss I've died on at this point, was a boss that actually had a randomized attack. And that was one boss. The rest are all just like... The rest are all just repetitive patterns that are easy to dodge and entirely not fun to fight, just because it takes so goddamn long to take them down, and they have no health bars, so you have no idea just how much longer you've got to go. And they don't have anything like second phases. They keep the same set of attacks every time, all the way through, and it's not even remotely interesting. There is one boss, like, the second boss, I believe it was, where if you literally just stand still and jump when its hands come at you, you will have beaten like 67% of it. Only when the hands are gone and it starts moving around does it actually get even remotely dangerous. But anyway, yeah, we just beat it. That was almost unbelievably easy. It's not a very good game. Level complete. We get the gears, and you get absolutely no extra money from that as well, by the way. You just get like 20 gears. For some reason it's replaying that animation despite the fact I already beat it. Not sure what that's about. But yeah, as you can see, I don't even have enough to get the Kuros, or Kuroso yet, sorry. So yeah, that was a quick look at Mecho Tales. I don't like it. I think it's a very boring, very mediocre, not special in the slightest. Apparently Star goes into the level. It's not special in the slightest. It's not fun to play. The controls are floaty. The shooting sucks. The drone is annoying to deal with. The game is relatively buggy. The levels are weird with their difficulty spikes, and the combat is literally handled best by just standing back and firing away the entire time. It is dreadfully boring, and I can't recommend it. Not under any sense of the word. Anything is better than this, honestly. I hate to be so critical of games. I hate to put a game down and be like, well, what was good about that? And other than the art, which has its own downside in and of itself, it's just... I find it hard to believe that so many things could go wrong in one game. I really do, but yeah, I can't stand it, honestly. I would rather play Pinky Spot's leg massage again than play this. Because at least that game makes me laugh a little. This doesn't. This literally made me mad. I was yelling at this game because of all the bugs and all of the bullshit combat situations, and just, no, hate it. Absolutely hate it. So yeah, there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.